So, I want to talk today about finding things that are reliably good. Now, this can be really helpful if we find something that we can always count on, always rely on to be good. Now, think about how this plays out when you go to a restaurant, right? My wife and I have talked about this a number of times, how you go to a restaurant and you're going to be faced with a choice. Do I stick with my old favorite or the old kind of faithful standby, or do I try something different? Right, so when I go to McDonald's, there will usually be some kind of new item there, like some kind of artisanal fried chicken kebab, where I will think to myself, right, hey, that sounds like it could be really good. And then I go ahead and I order the Big Mac and fries, which is what I always get. And that's because we want things that we can rely on to be good, right? That aren't going to let us down, right? And so when you find those things or you find those relationships, it's like, well, why would I ever try anything different? Because this is going to deliver what I want and I'm looking for. And that's actually the case that God is making to us for why we should trust Him in all circumstances. So listen to James chapter 1. This is verses 16 through 18. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers. Every good gift, every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Of His own will He brought us forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of His creatures. Now, to really understand these verses, we got to put them in their larger context. Right? So earlier on in this chapter, James has been talking about calling people to remain steadfast and not doubt and not give in to temptation. And now he's giving us the motivation to do all of those things. And he's saying, not only is God reliable, right, like your favorite sweatshirt is reliable, or your old Honda is reliable, it keeps plugging away, right, but God is reliably perfect all of the time. Right, that's really the main point of this, that God is reliably perfect. And not only that, but everything that's really actually good in life, right, everything that is truly down to its core, actually worthwhile, all of that comes from God. Every single thing. Right? He's always behind what is good. And verse 18 tells us that if you've accepted Jesus and you're trusting Him, then God has given you this new life so that you would be a kind of first fruits of His creatures. Now, this is kind of a weird expression, right? So first fruits, this is an agricultural term. But when the Bible talks about first fruits, it's not talking about necessarily something that comes chronologically first, but it's talking about what is the highest priority, what is the highlight, what's of most importance. And James is saying that that is how God sees us, who are His children. That we're His number one priority, and that is why we can count on God to be reliably good towards us. And the good news of the gospel is that we're accepted and loved by God because we put our faith in Jesus, not what we're able to do. And that means that God's goodness towards us, His desire to give us good gifts, to give us good things, right, that's never going to change. This is why James refers to God as the Father of heavenly lights, with whom there's no shadow or no variation due to change. And what he's doing is that he is putting trust in God against the backdrop of other things that people at that time would have been looking to as a sign of good favor. Right, so you're probably familiar with the expression of someone waiting for the stars to align. Right, and this is kind of what he has in mind here, that people at that time, just like today, right, they wanted to know whether their business or their idea or their relationship was going to succeed. And so they believed that they could look to the stars, particularly the positioning of the stars, for omens as to whether this was good timing or not. Now, for us today, we might not be checking the night sky to make a decision about a relationship or what we're going to do in our lives, but we actually do very similar things. Right? We'll say things like, I'm waiting for the universe to send me a sign, or just we want to feel like God is really leading me. He's really with me on this. And James is telling us that unlike stars or people or circumstances, which are constantly changing, God is fixed. He's unchanging. He's not going to move. And that means that everything that's really good in life, that God is going to reliably be providing those things for us as we continue trusting and relying on Him. Let's pray. Lord, would you help us to know that all good things come from you, and help us then to trust and rely on you that you will be good towards us. In Jesus' name.